singing holy is your name. And if it lifts you higher, put in me your desire, a passion worthy of your name. On the sound forever, heart and heaven together, singing holy is your name. And if it lifts you higher, put in me your desire, a passion worthy of your name. And I throw my weakness into your greatness. This broken heart is all you want. Singing holy, heart like heaven, singing holy, God Almighty, on this earth most high, singing holy is your name. Singing holy, heart like heaven, singing holy, God Almighty, on this earth most high, singing holy is your name. Singing holy is your
Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? All right, as we are coming back from our coffee break, I just got a couple of announcements for you. Let's just address the elephant in the room. As you noticed, Michael and Nikki are not here. They are on a very well-deserved vacation. So I'm sure they might be watching, so if you just wave and say hi. They safely made it to Maryland, so and they are going to enjoy some family time up there, and then whenever they come back, we'll be ready for them. So, just a couple of announcements. Our small groups, we have our women's and our discipleship meeting weekly. Women's is on Mondays at 6, and discipleship is at 6:30 on Thursdays. Women's is canceled tomorrow, so please do not show up. There will not be anybody here. However, we are going to be doing a dinner at Casa Sanchez on the 19th, right? Yes. So on the 19th, instead of meeting here, we're going to be at Casa Sanchez at 6. So if you want to join, even if it's your first one, please join us there. It'll be really, really fun. It's just a good community time. If you have any questions about discipleship, please talk to Kevin. He has all the information for you. Yeah, if you really wanted to go, you can go to his group on Thursday, and it's fantastic. We also have our Celebration Sunday coming up. Who's excited for that? We are doing a cookout, so please join us for a barbecue here at the church. Celebration Sunday is just our chance to just break up from the normal setting and all sit and have lunch together. Please bring a dish, a side dish, or meat to cook on the grill. There's a sign-up sheet actually in the back on our table. So if you want to bring something, please just sign up there and then talk to Amanda. Amanda is just running around back there. She's waving. So if you want to bring something, please just talk to her. We also have our grand opening happening September 8th. And this is just us welcoming the community into our church and giving us a chance to finally just open our doors to everybody else. I'm going to announce that we're here. If you cannot tell, we got signs too, so now it's even more official. So, and then during our grand opening, we are also doing our kids' back to school bash. So if you know any families in the community that do not attend a church and that they have kids, please invite them. We are going to be doing a tie-dye for the kids and then as well as special treats. And we'll be doing giveaways in the main sanctuary for that. We also have our moonlight kayaking September 13th. September is a very busy month for us. So if you are interested in the moonlight kayaking, that'll be Friday, September 13th at 6:30 at Lake Watson. If you are interested in that, you have to go to the website for rentals, not our website, but the b2bwild.com. They have all their pricings on there. The prices range from $25 to $75. If you bring your own boat or flotation device, you only have to pay for parking. We also have a sign-up sheet in the back, so if you are interested, please sign up on that just so we can gauge about how many people are going to show up. And other than that, I do think that is all my announcements. And today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Pastor Nacho to bring the word. He is going to do an amazing job, and I'm really excited to hear it.
Turns on. There it is. Can you guys hear me all right? Like she said, obviously, the pastors are not in the building, so we get to throw a party. Much, very deserved vacation for them. They do a lot of work. They do a lot of things on a daily basis that keep their lives and calendars filled up. So it is a great privilege to be a part of a team that they entrusted to serve and take care of the church for the next 2 weeks. They will also be out next Sunday. Next Sunday, we will have a guest speaker, Pastor Ethan. If you haven't heard him, you're going to want to be here. That man, when it comes to theology, is just so knowledgeable. So I encourage you guys to, 1, be here, 2, invite a friend. Alrighty? I think I spoke a little bit earlier, and some of you guys heard where Discovery is going. It's prime for growth. And then the culture we're building here, the community we're building here, I stand behind it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do. So one way to get us to where we want to be is invite a friend. We all know somebody. Some of us only know one more person. That's fine. Let's bring them and introduce them to God and let their lives be changed forever. Title of my message today is called Untitled. And we'll get to that later. As I go through this sermon, you'll catch it. All right? You'll see what I'm talking about. I did have the privilege of, just all transparency, speaking this message earlier in the week to a group of young adults at a Flagstaff. But I believe the topic that I'm speaking on is very widespread, and it can be used for each of you. I think it's something we all struggle with in our walks, not only in this life on this earth, but with God. Identity. The fact of being who or what a person or thing is. As you sit in your seats, I just want you to ask yourself one simple question. What is my identity? Who am I? I'll give you a second. Just let your minds answer that question. I want you to hold on to that, and at the end of the sermon, ask yourself that question again, and let me know if your answer remains the same. Whether or not you tell me, that's up to you, but God will know the truth. God knows who you are before you do. Even if you think you know, there's a good chance that if you're not in that walk with God, we're lying to ourselves about who we are. See, when I think about identity, I think it's something that we as a church tend to struggle with. When you accept Christ, it's a newfound freedom, and we all know how scary freedom can be. Now, there's limitless opportunities that come with that. And if we're not walking as we should be, we're going to end up in a lonely, dark place, trying to scramble out of it. Society has led us to believe that we need it all figured out. So we're scrambling, thinking we alone can establish what our identity is to be. In turn, you start to let the reality of fear and anxiety lead you into an identity crisis. All it is a devil trying to put his leash around your neck. And I know that as more established citizens we have in this church, you might not think this applies to you, because you're living your life and you've been living it for 10, 15, 30 years. Doesn't mean that's the truth. Doesn't mean you got life all figured out. As we know, God works in mysterious ways, and you could be 55 and thinking you've found your purpose, and God will just erase all that and point you in a different direction. See, especially as Christians, especially young Christians, we tend to lie to ourselves and say that's not the case, and we actually end up believing that lie and letting that become our reality. And I don't say young Christians as far as young adults only. If you're new to the faith, you're a young Christian. If you just discovered God within the last couple of years, you're a young Christian. And it's not something to be weary of. That's not something to sorry, lost my train of thought there. But it's okay, because even the more mature Christians do tend to stumble and lose their way, and God has to pick them up and point them in the direction they're supposed to be going. So you're not alone as a young Christian. See, when you first become a Christian, you have a set amount of time to decide how you're going to approach this new way of life, one with God. Many times we choose to be good. That is, until we fall off the wagon and we want to hide it from the church. Because of that, we think we can hide it from God. Now, pretending to be someone completely different turns into this facade, this character that everyone gets to see. And you're in character so long that you actually start to believe it yourself. You think you're fine. You think you're good. You think you're just rolling through life all good, because you've consistently built up this lie and this life that you want to live. But the second you enter your own home, close the door, and nobody can see through the windows, you become a totally different person. And now those two characters are fighting. You got this battlefield of the mind going on. And I believe that is by far the toughest battle we have to fight, especially in today's world. With all the things we got going on around us, all the things that we let speak into our life, they start to create a ruckus inside of our souls and create noise that we just don't know how to quiet because we're leaning on ourselves. Stolen identity is my first point. It's going to lead us into Genesis 1:27. So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Our true identity is one that was set from the beginning of time. God created man in his own image. The thought of us being able to create or establish identity came with the fall of man. When sin was introduced into the world, well, at least the knowledge of it. For those of you, I'm sure we all know the fall of man, when that happened, and the repercussions of it we're feeling today. When Adam and Eve were in the garden, and they were instructed to not eat from one specific tree, the knowledge of good and evil. The serpent, being the shrewdest of all wild animals God had made, he was able to bring out their curiosity by asking the right questions and telling them that it would open their eyes. In this story, Adam and Eve descend from the state of innocence in the Garden of Eden to a sinful world of misery and death. And like I said, we see it. In our everyday life, you turn on the TV, you get on social media, we see the repercussions of that decision. And it brought us out of the identity that was meant to be. Now we have a God. God was always a God of free will, but it heightened at that moment. It brought us to believe that we can do it on our own. We can choose who we want to be. And all of this happens aside and apart from God. If the devil was able to get a hold of those who only knew innocence, how much more can he wreck our identity if we are set in a scramble? If we're not established in our faith and relying on the one God that has a purpose for us, what are we letting into our souls and into our minds? And how much control can we give that? The devil will take as much as you give, or as much as you let him. Because at the end of it, when we're given all these little things, these idols, that throne that God belongs on, who has the time to creep in? Because if it's not of God, there's about a really good chance that it's the devil that's running your systems, your minds, your thoughts, and changing your life for the worse instead of where we could go. 1 Peter 5:8. Stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. He's there, guys. The reality of it is that the devil is waiting for us to trip and fall and not get back up. He's waiting for us to run away from God so that he can swoop in and take the control that we give him. How do we move forward? Proverbs 3:5. We move forward by taking steps. No matter how big or how small the step is forward. Not on there? Oh, having some technical difficulties. Nice. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Bring it to God and lean on him, as he wants all of your fears and worries and every traumatic thing that you have experienced in your life. As we walk through life, a lot of these things we think we can do self-care for, healing on our own behalf, and get rid of them. Get rid of the shackles and the trauma that came with our upbringing. We can't. And in turn, most of the time, we let those things define us. We let the abuse define us. We let the addictions define us. For a long time, all transparency, because I'm very open about it, I had an addiction. And it's ruined me because I did let it define me for a little while. I was addicted to pornography hard. And that's just a part of my testimony. When I brought it to God and laid it at his feet, that's when those open wounds started to close. And even to this day, I'm still recovering through all of it. Because as a young child, my mind was changed forever when I dipped into it. I was emotionally and mentally abused, not only by my addiction, but other things in life. As we all, I'm sure, have a story to tell. When we live defined by that moment or those moments, our identity Our true identity takes a back seat. And we're lost, wandering, mostly into places that we know we don't belong or want to be. God is the only one that can bring true healing. Doing it on your own or running from the reality only reopens the scars we thought were healed, and in some cases even creates new wounds. When we don't let God do his work, because he is a God of free will, he's not going to impose. He's not going to do more than we let him. He will never forcefully give or take things from us. So we have to open our heart. We have to take that step back, examine who we've been and where we want to be, and choose God. Because it's a conscious decision that we make on an everyday basis, just as it is anything else. Just as I go home and play my video games, or we all get up and go to work because we know. It's that conscious decision to choose to excel at something or fail at everything. Ephesians 4:24. Or 22 through 24. Throw off your old sinful nature and your former way of life, which is corrupted by lust and deception. Accept God into your life. I'm not saying the walk will be any easier, but it makes the journey to your new identity worth it. It does. And it doesn't change overnight. You don't accept God and then just find out who you are. God will never overload us and give us more than we can handle. So when you choose that, know what comes with it. A fight, a battle, one that you've lost your whole life, one that you're smart. That guy is smart. That's why we keep him around. He's from Texas, if anybody didn't know. But it's all worth it in the end. Because that fight that you've lost your whole life, trying to beat addiction, trying to beat what's torn you down, trying to beat the abuse as a child, you've lost. God will win. God comes, takes over, he picks us up. He pulls us off the ground and runs to victory. But we take his hand. We make that call. Understanding who you are. Romans 3:10. As the scriptures say, no one is righteous, not even one. Romans 3:23. For everyone has sinned, we all fall short of God's glorious standard. The Bible says we are all sinners. Not just you sitting in a chair today. Not just a homeless panhandler on a corner. Not just me. We are all sinners. We all lack righteousness. And we're all in it together. No one in this world is truly alone because we're all struggling with the same thing. We all fall short. No matter how perfect you think you might be. The sooner you get real with yourself and accept this fact, the sooner you elevate your relationship with Jesus Christ. God wants the real you. He don't care if you stumbled yesterday or the day before, last week, in your past life, before you were a Christian, before that gets weird. He wants you. As you came into this world, a sinner. And as we understand that fact, it becomes easier. I 100% believe that transparency is the key to growth. And if you grow to be open with yourself about who you are, then that translates well to the other relationships you have, especially the one with God. So we are a community. We are called to build this community, to build the kingdom, to love one another. But if you're struggling with loving yourself and being honest with yourself, how are you supposed to pass on that love and affection that you're called to pass on? This is just the true reality of it. When you don't know where your heart is, and truthfully, I mean, sometimes that's deceiving, but it's not with God. How is your heart supposed to be with me? Or your spouse? Or your kids? Where does that true moral value come from? If you're not letting God lead you to where you want to be, to where you're supposed to be. Proverbs 15:32 through 33. If you reject discipline, you only harm yourself. But if you listen to correction, you grow in understanding. Fear of the Lord teaches wisdom. Humility precedes honor. Don't get me wrong, I know what the world is and what the church is. You do have those that will hold everything against you. But the reality of being honest with yourself not only turns into you only being worried about what God thinks of you, but gives you the ability to attract the community you seek. One that will treat you as you should be treated. A sinner seeking God and searching for a better life. One that needs the love, grace, and mercy to get through it. There's plenty of things that we've tried and that we believe will close those wounds. There she is. We almost made it. It's okay, babe. You heard the end of it. Sorry. She wants dad, probably. Let me catch my train of thought one more time. We lean into this world and into others for the healing that is God's right. For the healing that, the true healing that we'll never receive in this world. And we give that to our wives, to our brothers, to our sisters, to our addictions. And it's not there, right? The only way to true healing is through God, bringing whatever it is that has you at a standstill in life to Him, laying it at His feet, and moving forward. And as I said, statements I live by, or transparency is the key to growth. And no matter how big or how small the step is forward. So when you choose a better life, one that is with God, when you accept Him as the answer to all your problems, it begins the journey. And it is that, man. My Christian walk has been all over the place, as I'm sure many of ours have. But one thing's for sure is God at the head of it makes life and everything in it so much easier to handle because it's off my shoulders. I got a Father in heaven that cares about me so deeply that he will rip it all off when I ask him to. So this brings me, I know nobody's going to be mad about a shorter service. Michael's long-winded. I cannot be. It brings me to the true title of my message. If you didn't figure it out already, identity. Proverbs 28:1. The wicked run away when no one is chasing them, but the godly are as bold as lions. Come to God, and you will walk into that identity. We are as bold as lions. Why? Because we were made in God's image. That's where we're supposed to be. And walk this earth living that way. And not letting anything trump who we are, put us down. Don't get me wrong, we're going to get broken. We're going to get hurt. We may even just hate life at times. And that's okay. Why? Because you're human. God fills that void that we're looking for when we catch ourselves asking the question as to who we are. When I think about who I am and who I want to be, the answers are very similar. I am and always want to be a child of God. I live my life with that thought because it just makes everything else easier going on in my life. I don't live a perfect life. I don't walk the perfect path. God knows me and my struggles. And he helps me gather myself to keep going. There's no other name that I would like to be called by except child of God. I am and I want to be as bold as a lion. I don't like to live in fear. I don't like to live outside the confinement of God's love, grace, and mercy. Those are free gifts. Why wouldn't we take them? And if I came to you and offered you a new car, I bet you take it up into quickness. And I'm human. And that car will break down at some point. God is love. We are love. And these are things we're called to pass on. And if you're not rooted in that, ask yourself the question, are you truly walking in love? If God isn't at the center of all you do, are you truly walking in love? And that's not for me to answer. That's on a personal relationship between each of you and God. But I only hope that a message like this, one, you got out of it what you needed. And if it wasn't speaking to you, that's fine. Somebody in this room needed that. That is always my prayer, is that the words that I say reach you in the way that you need to be reached. As my wife would most definitely tell you, I'm not perfect. But I make that conscious decision every day to be upfront with myself and give who I am to God and let him administer his change. for him to lead me to the man that I am to become and to fulfill the purpose he has for my life. At the end of my days, I want to be able to say that I was used to my potential. That with God, I was able to get to where I belong. Because without him, I'm spinning my wheels. I'm walking backwards. And we all do at times. And that's okay. Why? Because we are human. If we had all the answers and knew exactly where we needed to be, would we even need God? No. We wouldn't. But we do. Because we're wrong often. Even when we think we're right. God is the one relationship that we truly, truly need. And I encourage everybody, that despite where you're at in your relationship with God, find ways to strengthen it. Whether it be prayer, talking to him in a conversation, reading your Bible, wherever you feel you lack. Do the little things to strengthen that relationship. Because the stronger that relationship gets, the stronger you become. The more you reach where you're supposed to be. And sometimes that might feel like you're just worlds between where you want to be and who you are today. But you'll get there. And if you ever catch yourself down and you feel like you're out, reach out to somebody. I, for one, can tell you how great this community is. And we've been a part of the church for not even a full year yet, really. And the relationships we've grown and the respect that has been given, the love that has been shown is out of this world. So when you're looking for somebody to talk to, an ear to listen, there's a good chance you can find it in this room. Nobody is alone. And there's a good chance, even though we are a smaller church, that there is somebody that has experienced what you've been through. And if not, I'm sure they know somebody that they'd be more than willing to send you to. As a friend, as a brother, as a sister. Most importantly, though, we want to send you to God. If you don't have a quiet place that you spend time in with God, find it. It's a good way to start. It's a good place to start. And just start asking God, who am I? Who am I? Who am I to become? And you'll start to get the answers, little by little. Because like I said, God won't overload us. He knows that if he gives us too much, we're bound to fail. He unveils little by little in our life that we work through, and then we get to the next milestone. We achieve the next goal. But identity, man. This was me just letting you into my heart, because my heart, when it comes to identity, is very strong on the subject. especially leading into more of a next-gen, young adult type of role. But it's not just something they struggle with. The church is universal. We all have things that we can agree on. We all have similar things we struggle with, and this is one of them. So know that you are rooted in God. You were made in His image. In His eyes, you are perfect. Because He looked in the mirror and made you. Two questions I have for you to close out. What is your identity? And pray on it. Think about it. Go home and spend some time on it. And two, will you join me in making that decision? That decision to bring your true, authentic self to God and let Him work with what you are to mold you into what you are to become. We all have a purpose in this world. We're all here for a reason. And the only true way to find that, and I cannot beat it enough, is God. If you think about where you've been and how you never want to go back, lean on God. God is the key. God is the answer to all of the things that go on inside this mind of ours. And it's simple. Let it be God. I thank you guys all for letting me speak into your life on this subject. I did want to gear it more towards this demographic. If I hit it on the head, great. If not, I apologize. But I hope that each of you got something out of it. As identity crisis is a real thing. And you might not even feel like you're in one. But if you don't think you are, that's great. Help somebody that is. It will all be unveiled. It will all be shown. Let's walk together through this life as God has brought us together and help each other out. Be an ear to listen, and let's take a step together in the right direction. I thank you guys so much. There were some nerves at the beginning, and I have no clue why, but they were there. I think this is just my first big boy day. You know what I'm saying? But I love you guys, man. I love this group, this church, everything that we stand for, the friendships that are being built, and appreciation is a must. So when Pastor Michael and Nikki get back, just tell them they did an amazing job. and I'll give all you guys a cone, maybe. Just a few things, and probably should have happened at the beginning, but if you haven't met me, my name is Ignacio. I go by Nacho because it's a lot easier to remember, and my favorite line is, and I like being remembered. So, I am one of the pastors here at Discovery Church with the honor of being under Pastor Michael and Nikki, and I love it. This is home. Dive in. If it's not, may you find where you belong. And with that, we're going to go into our 3 ways to partner. Prayer, Pray for the church. Pray for our needs. Pray for the congregation's needs. We have many things that as we walk through this next season, as you know, our grand opening is next month, we need help with. So get with Pastor Michael and Nikki, Honesty, Tosh. Don't get with me because I have no idea what's going on. You can ask me questions and I'll roll them up to my wife. How about that? Prayer, communication to God. There can be many forms of it. Serve. We have a wonderful serve team here. Even being a smaller church, I'd say about 90% of our congregation serves in some capacity. And that's great, because there's churches that are 3 times this size that have nowhere near the amount of volunteers. So the servant heart is in here. And all of you guys are appreciated. If you want to serve somewhere, get with one of those names I listed off. Get with a team lead. Dave's not here today. Amanda needs some help on the hospitality side. So if you have a heart for hospitality, get with her. Won't be anything crazy. Just setting up things and give. Taboo subject in most churches. We don't talk about it crazy in depth often because it's what's in the heart, right? But giving is a benefit to where the church wants to go and what they want to do. Pastor Michael says all the time, we want to be able to say yes to needs, financial needs. We want to be able to have the option to help in certain situations and circumstances. And as the congregation comes together in that is how we do it. You can give in person, in little boxes at the back of the room, or you can give online, which we have a QR code in there. If you watch the welcome loop, you'll see it coming. And I believe there's QR codes back there as well. Just what's in your heart, folks. But it's all a benefit, right? So I thank you all for everything today. I thank you all for giving me your attention. So may everybody have a beautiful Sunday, and may everybody's walk with God continue to grow. Thank you, thank you. You can hit the music now. I guess I'm just